Hello there, and welcome to a presentation on fixing the HOA solar panel problem in Indiana. My name is Joey Miles, and I live in Indianapolis, Indiana. Solar panels are not new. They have been around for decades and are becoming more common and cost-effective to install each year. So why am I making this presentation? Well, unfortunately, even with the increasing availability of solar power, one significant barrier to installing residential solar panels continues to be the rejection by many homeowners associations, or HOAs, all across the country. And since I live in Indiana, I'd like to talk to you today about how we can and must address this problem right here in the Hoosier State. I'll be talking to you today about a few homeowner stories and the experiences each homeowner had with their HOA, and then describe the two types of HOA restrictions and the extent of this problem in central Indiana. Next, I'll describe the results of Senate Bill 500 from the 2017 session of the Indiana General Assembly and explain why this legislation would be so critically important for our state. Finally, I'll wrap up by providing some contact information, telling you how you can get involved, asking some questions, and detailing the next steps in the campaign. The first two homeowner stories are straightforward, yet the most important examples that I want to highlight. Dustin Holt is a homeowner in Franklin Township, Indianapolis, and he wanted to install solar panels on his roof. However, his HOA has a total prohibition on solar, so he was unable to install the panels. Gary Wiggins and his wife live in Bloomington, and he wanted to install solar panels as well, but he also faced an absolute prohibition on solar. Throughout 2017, Gary has been actively trying to muster the hundreds of votes needed to amend his HOA's covenants. In summer 2017, Gary was elected to his HOA board, and as of September 2017, he was still in the process of obtaining the necessary votes. The final homeowner example is my own. In November 2016, my wife Sarah and I completed construction of our new home in Franklin Township, Indianapolis. The HOA covenants in our neighborhood allow solar panels as long as the 3-person Architectural Control Committee, which is part of the broader 5-person HOA board, approved the installation. Since we plan to be in this home for the next 25 to 30 years, it was a no-brainer to me to request to my HOA board to install solar panels. I was the first homeowner in my neighborhood to ever request to install solar, and being that it was a new request, the HOA board carefully considered my request but ultimately decided they could not accept the street-facing view of my panels. Solar panels do best when they face south, and the front of my house faces south. The HOA board did approve my request to install north-facing panels, so that is what I went with initially, as I intended to continue pursuing a change in the restriction. My neighbors overwhelmingly support solar panels, street-facing or not, and my contractor estimated that at the correct orientation, my panels would produce 52% more energy. Like Gary Wiggins, I am also actively pursuing a change to my covenants. There are two types of HOA restrictions on solar. The first is a total prohibition, where the HOA simply states that solar panels will not be allowed, period. This was Dustin and Gary's examples. The second is the unreasonable restrictions by HOA architectural review committees, where there is no specific objective criteria. As an example, my HOA only had one sentence in the covenants, and it did not state what would be approved. Also included in this second restriction are prohibitions on roof installations and demands that solar panels be kept out of view. Both of these restrictions are rooted in common HOA tenets: preserving property values and aesthetics, even though studies have shown that solar panels actually increase property values and that people who see solar will then want to go solar. Here's a chart that shows the pervasiveness of this problem in central Indiana. As you can see, 138 of the 381 HOAs require the Architectural Review Committee's approval. This is not automatically a bad thing, as HOAs should have input in approving installations. However, we found that guidance in HOA covenants are rarely clear, specific, and most importantly, reasonable. Also, 130 of the HOAs we looked at have an absolute prohibition. You can also see that Marion County is the county with the most prohibitions at 149. During the 2017 session of the Indiana General Assembly, my state senator, Aaron Freeman, who had just been newly elected to the Indiana Senate 2 months earlier, introduced Senate Bill 500, which was aimed at fixing the HOA solar restriction problem. He was joined in the bill by 4 other state senators, and, as I'll explain in a couple of slides, after the bill passed the Senate, his counterpart in the Indiana House, my state representative Mike Speedy, agreed to sponsor the bill in the House. Senate Bill 500 was based off another existing state law, Texas. Similar laws also exist in several other states, such as California, Colorado, New York, and Oregon. In fact, the New York and Oregon laws were enacted in 2017, so this movement is clearly gaining traction nationwide. Senate Bill 500 stated HOAs cannot prohibit or restrict installation of solar energy devices except in certain cases, such as the ones shown here. I want to draw your attention to Bullet B. The bill stated that if you've received approval by your HOA to install panels, but that approved location on the roof would significantly decrease the efficiency, the HOA cannot restrict you from installing the panels in the optimal location. In my case, I would say a 52% increase in output with the optimal location would qualify as a significant decrease in efficiency. If this law had been in effect in Indiana at the time my HOA approved my panels, I would have been able to put them on the south roof despite HOA objection. And regarding Bullet D about not annoying a reasonable person, Gary Wiggins and I are in a similar situation where our neighbors welcome the panels and are very discouraged at the HOA board's position. Senate Bill 500 had considerable achievements, advancing through 1/2 of the Indiana legislature. After the bill passed 5-2 out of the Senate Civil Law Committee, it passed 31-17 in the full Indiana Senate. If your state senator voted for Senate Bill 500, please contact them and tell them thank you, and ask for their support again in 2018. If they voted against SB 500, please talk with them and let's see if we can change their mind. As I alluded to on the previous slide, we are going to need help on this effort again in 2018 because Senate Bill 500 did not become law. It stalled in the Indiana House when it was not given a hearing in the Indiana House Judiciary Committee. Here are the members of the House Judiciary Committee. Senator Aaron Freeman has offered to reintroduce the bill in the Senate in January 2018. As of September 2017, we are deciding whether it is best to have the bill introduced in the Senate, the House, or both chambers at the same time. Why is this legislation important for Indiana? While it may seem obvious, given the nature of solar power and the language in the bill, I still felt it important to include some of the key benefits here. Number 1, energy freedom and choice. And then, taking responsibility for your own energy future. It's a matter of independence. Economically, solar energy allows you to hedge against future increases in electric utility costs, and Indiana offers a property tax exemption that prevents your solar panels from increasing the assessed value of your home. Finally, this law would provide a check and balance on the powers of HOAs in Indiana. Here's my contact information and also the contact information for Laura Arnold with the Indiana Distributed Energy Alliance, or Indiana DG for short. Laura has been actively engaged on solar legislation issues in Indiana for over 30 years and is working with homeowners like Dustin, Gary, and me to advance this issue. To join our campaign, please visit the website listed here or contact Laura. Questions for you. Do you want to install solar but your HOA has a solar prohibition? To find out if your HOA has a solar prohibition, follow our step-by-step guide at this link. Do you know someone else having this problem? Or do you not live in an HOA but you are supportive of this common sense change? If any of those questions apply to you, then we need your help in this campaign. Here's how you can help. Join Indiana DG. Then, I want you to contact your state representative and senator. Tell them you support removing HOA restrictions on solar in Indiana, and most importantly, you want them to join as a co-author to the bill once it is reintroduced in January during the 2018 session. Together, with your help, we'll get Indiana on the right track with HOAs and solar power. Thanks for listening.